Tonight, Ford Motor Company's chief executive says that America's labor market is in trouble. CEO Jim Farley says the company has thousands of high-paying mechanic jobs open and they can't get them filled.
Imagine spending $70,000 on a Ford, driving it off the lot, and thinking the hard part is behind you. Then the warning light comes on. You call the dealership, expecting a clear plan, and instead you get the answer owners dread. They are booked out, waiting on diagnosis, waiting on parts, or waiting on the one technician who can actually handle it. One delay turns into another, and suddenly the truck you bought for work, towing, and freedom is just sitting there while the payments keep coming. That is when the real problem starts to show. The truck may be fixable, but only if the right mechanic, the right tools, the right software, and an open service bay all line up at the same time. And that leaves Ford owners with one uncomfortable question. What good is a $70,000 truck if getting it fixed becomes the hardest part of owning it? What's happening? From the outside, Ford's repair network looks powerful. Big dealership buildings, bright service lanes, rows of lifts, parts counters, factory signs, advisors with headsets, tablets, and computer screens. To an owner, it looks like the machine behind the truck should be just as strong as the truck itself.
Then the vehicle actually needs serious work, and the weak point becomes obvious. A dealership can have the space, the tools, the signage, and the customers, but none of that fixes a truck by itself. The real difference is the person in the bay who knows how to diagnose the problem, follow the factory procedure, handle the electronics, document the repair, and get the vehicle back without creating another issue. And those people are becoming harder to keep. This is not the old image of a mechanic doing simple jobs with a basic toolbox. Modern dealership technicians are dealing with sensors, modules, software updates, diesel systems, transmissions, warranty rules, emissions equipment, safety cameras, and electrical faults that can hide behind one warning light. One truck might need a diesel specialist. Another might sit because the only technician who understands that problem is already buried in 3 other jobs. That is how a service department can look busy and still feel stuck. The lift may be open, but the right technician is not. The truck may be on the lot, but diagnosis has not started. The advisor may be polite, but he cannot invent a trained mechanic out of thin air.
Ford has already acknowledged the shortage of dealership technicians, and that is why this problem cannot be brushed off as a few lazy shops. On paper, some technician jobs sound like they pay very well, so people naturally ask why more workers are not rushing in. But mechanics are looking at more than the headline number. They are looking at years of training, tool costs, physical wear, warranty pressure, flat rate pay, and the stress of fixing complicated vehicles under tight time expectations. So when an owner hears, "We need more time," it may not mean nobody cares. It may mean the entire repair chain was overloaded before that truck ever arrived. And once you look at how those technicians are actually paid, the empty bays start making a lot more sense. The pay system nobody explains. Most people think dealership mechanics are paid like regular hourly workers. They imagine someone clocks in, works 8 hours, and gets paid for 8 hours. Sometimes that is true in certain shops, but in many dealerships, the pay system is built around something called flat rate. Flat rate means each repair has a set amount of paid time attached to it. If the book says a job pays 1 hour, the mechanic gets paid 1 hour for that job. If he finishes faster, he can make good money. That is the part people use to defend the system. A fast, skilled technician can beat the book and earn more. But the other side is rough. If the book says the repair pays 1 hour and the job takes 3 hours in the real world, the mechanic can lose. The customer may think the technician is being paid the whole time. The technician may actually be eating the difference.
That is where modern trucks make the problem worse. Older vehicles were not always easy, but they were usually more direct. You could see more parts. You could reach more things. You could diagnose more problems with basic tools and experience. Modern trucks are different. Parts are packed tighter. Systems are tied together. Software steps can matter. A simple leak or sensor issue can turn into a much bigger job once the mechanic starts removing everything needed just to reach the failure. One example people have talked about is an oil pan gasket repair on a Ford F-250 Super Duty. The repair time being discussed was 0.6 hours, which is 36 minutes. Mechanics pushed back because, depending on the setup, getting proper access can take far longer than that. Whether every single case plays out the same way is not the main point. The point is that mechanics are looking at jobs where the paid time and the real time can feel completely disconnected. Imagine being told a job pays a little over half an hour, but the actual work can eat up a huge part of the day. You still have to do it right. You still have to avoid breaking anything. You still have to document it. You still have to deal with the vehicle coming back if something goes wrong. After a while, that does not feel like an opportunity. It feels like a bad deal. Then add the cost of becoming a mechanic. Trade school can be expensive. Tools are expensive. A serious technician can spend tens of thousands of dollars building a proper tool set over time. Newer technicians may start with debt, tool payments, and a pay structure that punishes them before they are fast enough to benefit from it.
So when a company says these jobs can pay $120,000 a year, mechanics hear the fine print. They know that number usually belongs to experienced people in the right shop with enough good jobs, enough speed, enough training, and enough hours that actually pay. That is not the same as saying a young technician walks in and starts living well right away. That is why good mechanics leave. Some go to independent shops, some go into fleet maintenance, some move into heavy equipment, diesel work, aviation, industrial maintenance, or other trades where the pay is more predictable. Some just get tired of doing complicated work under a pay system that makes them feel like they are always chasing time. The customer does not see all that. The customer only sees the result. The appointment is delayed, the diagnosis takes longer, the repair is pushed back. The person who knows how to fix the problem is busy, gone, or never entered the trade in the first place. And while the shop is already short on people, another wave of work keeps landing on the same service department. Let me know in the comments if you have waited days or weeks for a dealer repair, and hit like if you think the repair system behind these expensive trucks needs a lot more attention. The recall backlog. A recall sounds simple when the letter arrives. The company found a problem. The repair is free. Call your dealer and schedule the fix. That is how it looks on paper. In real life, it is not always that smooth. A recall still needs a person to do the work. It still needs an appointment, it still needs parts, instructions, inspection, paperwork, and sometimes software updates or deeper diagnosis. Even when the repair is free for the owner, it is not free for the service department in terms of time. This matters because Ford sells a huge number of trucks and sport utility vehicles. When a brand has that many vehicles on the road, even a small problem can turn into a large service load. If millions of vehicles need attention, that work does not happen in the air. It lands at dealerships, on technicians, in already crowded schedules. That is why recall volume becomes more than a public relations problem. It becomes a repair capacity problem. A dealership that is already busy with normal maintenance, customer pay repairs, warranty work, used car inspections, and diagnostics now has to handle waves of recall repairs too. And recall work is often not the work technicians are most excited to get. That does not mean they do not care about safety. It means the pay attached to warranty and recall jobs can be lower or less attractive than other work. If a job pays poorly compared with the time it takes, experienced mechanics notice. They know which jobs help them make a living and which jobs burn half the day for very little return. That creates a messy situation. The owner gets a recall notice and thinks, I need this fixed. The company wants the repair completed. The dealership has to schedule it. The mechanic has to perform it. But if the bay is short on skilled workers and the repair does not pay well, the whole process slows down.
This is why some owners feel like they are being pushed around. They get told the recall is important, but when they call, the appointment is far out. They are told the fix is available, but the part may not be there. They are told the repair is covered, but nobody can give a clear answer about how long the vehicle will be down. The frustrating thing is that none of these problems happen alone. The recall backlog hits at the same time the vehicles are becoming harder to repair,
And that combination is where the delays really start to feel personal. Why modern trucks take longer to fix? Modern trucks are impressive. That needs to be said clearly. They are stronger, smoother, quieter, safer, and more comfortable than older trucks in a lot of ways. They can tow more, they have better screens, they have better driver assistance features, they can make long drives easier. A lot of people buy them for good reasons. The problem starts when those features stop working, or when one small fault triggers a bigger diagnostic hunt. A modern truck is not just an engine, transmission, frame, and wiring anymore. It is a network of computers, sensors, modules, cameras, software, emissions equipment, safety systems, and comfort features all talking to each other. When everything works, it feels advanced. When something fails, the mechanic has to figure out which part of that chain is causing the problem.
That takes time. Sometimes the part that failed is not the part throwing the warning. Sometimes the vehicle needs a software update before a real diagnosis can continue. Sometimes one module will not communicate. Sometimes the truck needs a scan tool that an independent shop does not have. Sometimes the repair has to go through a dealership because the system is locked behind brand-specific tools or procedures. That is how a truck becomes unfixable in the practical sense. Not because nobody in the world can repair it. Someone can. The problem is whether the right person, the right tool, the right part, and the right information are all available at the same time. That is a very different ownership experience from older vehicles. With older trucks, a good independent mechanic could often handle most of the work. Parts were easier to reach. Problems were more mechanical. Diagnosis still took skill, but the vehicle did not always need a computer conversation before the wrenching could begin. Now, the dealership may be the only place that can complete certain repairs properly, especially when software, calibration, or warranty approval is involved.
But if that same dealership is short on trained technicians, the owner gets trapped. The vehicle is too complex for many smaller shops, but the official shop is too backed up to move quickly. There is also the serviceability issue. A truck can be designed very well for assembly at the factory and still be frustrating to repair later. Engineers may package parts tightly for space, safety, fuel economy, cost, or production speed. That may make sense on paper, but when a mechanic has to remove several other components just to reach a failed part, the owner sees the bill and the delay. Modern trucks give you more comfort, but they can also give you fewer options when something goes wrong. That trade-off is becoming harder for owners to ignore. And the hardest part is that the payment does not stop just because the truck is sitting behind the service department. When the payment keeps coming. This is the part that turns a repair problem into a life problem. If your truck is sitting at the dealership, the bank does not care. The payment is still due. The insurance is still due. Your job still expects you to show up. Your family still needs rides. Your trailer still needs towing. Your tools still need hauling.
That is why repair delays feel different on an expensive truck. This is not a cheap spare car sitting in the driveway. For a lot of people, it is their main vehicle, and sometimes part of how they make money. Contractors, farmers, delivery workers, small business owners, and people who tow regularly do not buy trucks just to look at them. They buy them because they need them to work. So when the truck is down for weeks, the cost is not only the repair. It can be missed jobs, rental costs, lost time, rescheduled work, and a lot of stress. Even if the repair is covered under warranty, the owner can still lose money while waiting. That is where the frustration becomes understandable. People are not just mad because something broke. They are mad because the whole experience feels out of their control. They call the dealership and cannot get a clear answer. They ask when diagnosis will start and hear soon. They ask if parts are available and hear we are checking. They ask how long it will take and hear we do not know yet. After a few rounds of that, the owner stops feeling like a customer and starts feeling like a hostage to the system.
The service advisor may be doing the best they can. The technician may be overloaded. The parts department may be waiting on supply. The dealership may have more vehicles than people. All of that can be true, and it still does not make the owner's life easier.
This is also where brand trust gets damaged. People can forgive a problem when the fix is quick and honest. They have a harder time forgiving a problem when nobody can explain the delay, nobody can give a real timeline, and the truck they are paying for is not available to use. The good news is that owners are not completely powerless. There are questions you can ask before you buy, before you book service, and before you let your truck disappear into a crowded repair line. What smart buyers ask first? This is where people can protect themselves a little. You cannot control every repair problem, but you can ask better questions before you spend the money or hand over the keys. Before buying a new or used Ford, do not only talk to the salesperson, talk to the service department. Ask how far out they are booking major repairs. Ask if they have certified technicians for the exact model you are buying. Ask if they have diesel specialists, hybrid specialists, electric vehicle specialists, transmission specialists, or advanced driver assistance system specialists on site if your vehicle needs that kind of support.
That may sound like too much, but it is not. If you are spending $70,000 or more, you deserve to know whether the place selling the vehicle can actually support it. Ask about open recalls using the vehicle identification number, not just the model name. The exact vehicle matters. If there is an open recall, ask if the fix is available now. Ask if the parts are in stock. Ask how long that repair usually takes. Ask whether the vehicle can be sold, delivered, or driven while that issue is open. Ask about loaner vehicles before you need one. Do not assume the dealership will hand you a replacement if your truck sits for weeks. Some will help, some will not. Some policies depend on warranty terms, availability, or the type of repair. Find that out before the problem happens. If you already own the truck and need service, call more than one dealership. The closest one is not always the fastest one. Another location may have the right technician available sooner. Another may already have the part. Another may be less backed up. When you schedule, ask when diagnosis will actually begin. Dropping the truck off on Monday does not always mean someone looks at it on Monday. Ask if the part is available. Ask if the repair requires a specialist. Ask whether there are software updates or recalls that should be handled at the same time.
Keep notes. Write down dates, names, and what you were told. That may feel unnecessary until the repair drags on and you need a clear record of what happened. Used truck buyers need to be even more careful. A clean truck with low miles can still have unresolved recalls, missing software updates, poor service history, or expensive problems waiting. Look beyond the shine. Ask for records. Check the vehicle identification number. Confirm what has been done. The main lesson is simple. Do not only ask what the truck can do when it is working, ask what happens when it stops working. That question matters more now than it did years ago. And that leads to the bigger point. This is not only about one company or one bad repair story. It is a sign of where modern vehicle ownership is going. The future of expensive repairs. It would be easy to make this only about Ford, but that would be too simple. Ford is the focus because the company sells a huge number of trucks, has a large dealership network, and has been connected to the mechanic shortage conversation in a very public way. When a brand that big has service pressure, a lot of owners feel it. But the larger problem is happening across the industry. Vehicles are getting more complex. Repairs are becoming more software dependent. Technicians need more training. Tools cost more. Diagnosis takes longer. At the same time, fewer young people are choosing this trade, and some experienced mechanics are leaving because the job no longer feels worth it.
That is not a small mismatch. It affects everyone who buys a modern vehicle. The sales side has moved fast. The repair side has not always kept up. A company can advertise power, comfort, towing numbers, screens, safety features, and luxury. That is the easy part. The harder part is building a service system strong enough to support all of that after the sale. If the vehicles become more complicated every year, but the technician pipeline keeps shrinking, then owners are going to feel the gap. Respecting blue-collar work is important, but respect is not enough by itself. People also need a pay system that makes sense.
They need training that does not bury them in debt. They need warranty times that match real repairs. They need a career path that does not punish them for doing difficult jobs correctly. Until that changes, the empty bay problem will not disappear just because companies talk about scholarships or recruitment. Those things may help, but they do not fix the daily math for the person turning the wrench. For owners, the takeaway is not to panic and never buy a modern truck. The takeaway is to be more careful. Understand that the repair network is part of the product. A truck is not only the engine, the screen, the leather, and the badge. It is also the dealership capacity, parts availability, technician training, warranty process, and repair access behind it.
That is what people need to look at before the warning light comes on. A $70,000 Ford is not worthless because something breaks. Every truck can break. The real concern is what happens after that. If the service department is short on mechanics, buried in recalls, dealing with complex diagnostics, and stuck with a pay system that drives skilled people away, the owner ends up waiting. That is the part nobody talks about enough. The truck may be fixable, but your time, money, and patience can still get burned while it sits. If you have waited weeks for a dealership repair, or you work in a service department and see this from the inside, share your experience in the comments. Like the video if this helped, and subscribe for more straight talk before the next expensive mistake.